Jessica D. Final Project. My journey in education started in 1996 when I first attended Southwest State University, which is now Texas State University. I chose to major in early childhood education because of the positive experience I had in high school when I had the opportunity to volunteer at the local elementary school. Then life happened, and I started my family and had to put school on the back burner for a while. During my time away from school, my desire to learn never faded, and as my oldest daughter started kindergarten, I headed back to Texas State. In 2006, I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Early Childhood Education. Shortly after that, I started teaching pre-K, and I've now been teaching for 11 years, and I love every minute of it. I enjoy setting up the learning environment, creating activities, connecting with families, and of course, growing and shaping young minds. During my 11 years, my classroom environment have become models for teachers on my campus, as well as visitors from school districts, private schools, and other organizations. I am constantly trying to research new ideas and activities and implement them, trying to ensure the best educational experiences. I decided to return to the school the fall of 2017 to get my master's degree in early childhood in hopes of learning new ideas, concepts that I can apply in my current classroom. I have been asked by many people why I'm pursuing my master's degree that won't necessarily help me get another job. My answer has simply been because I want the opportunity to possibly learn ideas that I can apply to my classroom now, and I have no desire to be administration or in curriculum instruction. My passion is being a classroom teacher, providing the best opportunities for young learners and continuing to be a model classroom for other teachers. The socio-political nature of education is an important concept to recognize and understand. The formation of the school districts, the history of education system, and the achievement gap were some of the first topics covered from our readings. According to Claudia Golden, the formation of school districts played a huge part in the decentralization of education because the decisions began to be made locally. Since decisions were made locally, this began the downfall of the U.S. education system because education was becoming unequal, and inconsistent. Where I work, there are 4 centers, and for the past 4 years, we've had multiple resources, but not a common curriculum. This has created a huge gap in the quality of education the children have received across the program. This year, the administration started working towards implementing one common curriculum and making cohesive program decisions in hopes in providing a high quality education for all of our students. By Ladson Billings, she states some of the reasons for the achievement gap are income level of the families, cultural and family backgrounds, opportunities for students, and teacher quality. These reasons play a huge role in the education system as well. I've worked with lower income families for 11 years now, and in my experience, these families sometimes don't have the means to provide extra outside learning opportunities for their children. I believe that even though they may not have material items, that they should still be given the resources to support their children at home. I strive to provide families with no cost ideas on how they may help support their children. For example, picking up small items with tweezers, going for letter number hunts around their homes and grocery stores, and simple problem-solving strategies. I believe that all children should be given the same opportunities both at home and at school. The reading by Nisani, he describes different ideas on the advantages and disadvantages of interdisciplinary studies. He also discusses how the idea of interdisciplinary learning was created and viewed by various philosophers. He states that the advantages of disciplinarity are the social benefits, personal rewards, and growth of knowledge. For example, immigrants coming to a new land may recognize things that the native people overlook because they have grown accustomed to it. I completely agree with the idea of immigrants because I believe that having another respected teacher come into my classroom and provide feedback is one of the most beneficial ways to grow and learn. These ideas relate to Morin's reading on how one's background influences the disciplines they may see as more important than others. For example, if someone is trained in classical music and plays various instruments, they would more likely see the arts as important than the sciences. Anyan's reading, she explains how various classes receive very different educational experiences and resources, and how one's socioeconomic status can affect the education he or she receives. For example, in the middle class, the teachers focus on getting the correct answer through researching books or from the teacher's own knowledge. They teach skills one way and focus on the steps to get the right answer. I believe that this is one of the problems that exist in the classrooms. I strive to teach skills in multiple ways, such as hands-on learning, differentiated learning, and individual support. I feel like this is one of the most effective ways to ensure that all my students are being supported at their own level. The six teaching theories discussed were Skinner's behaviorism, Piaget's cognitivism, Vygotsky's social constructivism, Lav Wenner's situated learning, Hepburn Harold's constructivism, and Knowles' andragogy. Theory of behaviorism focuses on how one reacts with their environment. Skinner explained the importance of problem solving. One thing I implement is supporting problem solving through conflict resolution, where the children's ideas are valued and they learn negotiation skills. I ask questions such as, how can you do that? Or, how can you solve this problem? I then support their ideas, even if sometimes I think the idea may not work. This allows the children to understand the idea of problem solving, come up with multiple solutions to solve a problem, and it helps them gain confidence in taking care of their own needs. Theory of cognitivism focuses on how all learning experience one acquires contributes to their overall development. Piaget explained how younger children learn through seeing and interacting with objects to gain skills. I believe this is so important to provide all hands-on activities in my pre-K classroom. The hands-on activities provide actual manipulation of objects, exploration, and cognitive thinking skills. Social constructivism focuses on learning connected to real-life experience and collaborative learning. Oski discussed how children start learning from the first day they were born. I believe this idea is true, so I always try to be intentional in everything I do in my classroom. From the stories I pick to read, to the materials I place in my areas, to the activities I implement daily. Situated learning focuses on newcomers learning a basic skill and then applying the knowledge to more complicated tasks and contributing to the community. I always keep this in mind when I'm trying to decide which skills need to be mastered before a certain skill can be attained. Constructivism focuses on allowing the learners to use prior knowledge and thinking in order to physically create something tangible. In my classroom, I always use hands-on learning experience that allow the children to use prior knowledge to gain new skills, such as allowing them to sort colors before they make patterns or touch counting to 10 before asking them to touch count to 20. Andragogy, the theory that focuses on how adults learn. Through this reading, I realized that I fall under the learning-oriented learners category since I'm pursuing my master's degree to help gain new ideas and knowledge that I can apply to my current classroom. In Lee's reading, she discussed the reasons that schools have started to think about their students' backgrounds and experiences outside of school. She also explains 3 different culturally sensitive models that are influenced by the community's social interactions and language. I believe that getting to know children and their families is extremely important for teachers to remember. Some ways I get to know my families is through weekly interactions, family city explorations on the weekends, and inviting them into our classroom. In Meyer's reading, she discussed how schools and parents sometimes avoid conversations about sexuality with their students and children because maybe they're uncomfortable about the subject. This avoidance can lead children to be misled or misinformed about the information since they end up finding alternative ways of acquiring the information. I think the schools and parents should come together to decide how to discuss certain topics with their children and students. This collaboration can be beneficial to the children since they are hearing the same information at home and at school. During conversations with parents, I always try to keep them informed at what topics we're discussing at school. That way they can implement the same strategies at home. In Hararo's reading, he discussed advantages of inclusion, such as the social aspect, advantages of integration, and the effects integration can have on regular education students. He also explains how a teacher's attitude can impact the experience for all children. I feel like all children should have the same opportunity to learn in a positive and nurturing environment. Although I have never had experience with inclusion, I have experience having children in my class who are at very different learning levels. Through differentiated learning, I ensure that all children are supported at the level they are at during all experiences. In his reading, he describes the term digital natives as learners who are fluent in technology language, gaming, and familiar with using the internet. He explains the importance of teachers recognizing these new learning trends and adapting their teaching styles to accommodate them in their current classrooms. I feel like one of the first things a teacher should do is to get to know the interests of all of their students. In my experience, the children always are more engaged in activity and focus on objectives if the activity is based on their interests. This is my first semester as a graduate student, and this course has really opened my eyes up to the history of education. It has also provoked me to reflect on the different aspects of my career. As a teacher, reflection plays a vital role in being a successful educator.